What is happening today, traders? How are we doing today, AMC fam? It is currently 7:17, 3 days before earnings, and man, am I excited. I wanted to cover AMC, GameStop, as well as the broader market today, and what you're looking to do. I just watched the Ryan Cohen interview on Bloomington, I think, Bloomingburg, whatever it's called, and I would highly recommend, guys. That interview has me absolutely jacked, and I freaking loved the gangster atmosphere or attitude that Ryan Cohen had towards some of the mainstream media analysts. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. But without further ado, traders, make sure to slap the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's jump straight in to the AMC technical analysis. And looking at the day, right? The daily time frame, you have an interesting candlestick formation, right? This is a hanging man candle, a textbook bearish candlestick formation. But what am I watching or analyzing on the charts right away, right? You have a technical golden cross that you had from 713. As soon as you got that cross, or 714, let's say, you saw a nice 5% pump to the upside, followed by a 5% follow through. Now, what you're seeing off of that ramp up in volume, you're now seeing 2 consecutive days of consolidation or downtrending volume. Now, traders, this is overall bullish after seeing such an important technical landmark. And alongside with this technical consolidation, you should expect a retest of that 50-day EMA, currently sitting at 186, guys, right around 187. What's going to be important here? Listen closely, right? If you fail a hold of 186, it's expecting you to come down to 181, failure to hold that SMA, and it's likely you peel all the way back, traders, into your very, very important, let's pull it up here, taking a quick little peeky weeky at the charts, your very, very important technical uptrend here. Now, why do I believe that, right? There is a setup going into earnings in which I could easily see this thing peeling back because of this uptrend that we lost here, right? Now, this is a textbook bearish rejection. So we're not entirely 100% bullish going into earnings. I wish we were, right? But there's always some indecision from the stock. You had an uptrend that you lost after this tweezer top that we covered yesterday, retested, and then bearishly lost. It's going to be important to see if you can reclaim this today. That would invalidate any bearish thesis going into earnings. But until we do that, traders, it's likely that you kind of chop down here to get to this equal low right freaking here. Whereas that 172 to 173 gives you a phenomenal setup here for a very pitch perfect shoulder, head, right shoulder, right? Depending on how deep you go, would give you what your kind of outcome is, right? Because this could easily be an inverted head and shoulders that you see break up from earnings, and that takes you straight in to that 3 shekels or schmeckles mark, guys. So that's what we're watching for the bullish case. And of course, it's still possible that we slide into this uptrend down 10%. I could easily see that occur during earnings because, you know, they like to shake out. Market makers often do shake out the retail bags, right? So that is a potential opportunity there. Another one that I'm watching for on the more macro time frame for AMC, and you can see the little icons I got here for you guys because we are the best technical analysis channel on AMC. We got a little YOLO cup up here, right? You could call it whatever you want. You can call it red solo cup, whatever you want to call it, right? This is a technical rising wedge. Depending on where you take the trend lines, right? You broke out of it and then kind of broke back down, but this is looking a little bit like a rising wedge. Now, if you see a rejection at 270 after that gap fill, I'm assuming that you will fill at some point of 273. You could see this peel all the way back down. If you break out or break down from this, right? That is your technical, this initial move is that technical rising wedge profit target that really takes you right down to like 120, in my opinion. That's where I have this rugged because it could continue to until you hit this down sloping support that has literally been a launch pad, right? The more you zoom out here, this falling wedge, and I wanted to delete some lines for you guys because I want it to become crystal clear of your technical setup on AMC. You have a macro falling wedge. Now that is a bullish reversal formation. Stay with me here, right? Breaking out of this rising wedge gives you the technical profit target of this initial up thrust from the breakout, wherever it may occur. That's your kind of move right there, just off of the rising wedge alone. That takes you pretty confluently into this 556 top, which is where we could expect to see some initial resistance here. Rejecting that comes with its own struggles, right? When we looked at the VRVP, we saw that this was one of the most traded areas in the stock's history in terms of shares traded. Expect that to be heavy resistance. There is the opportunity that you do something like this, peel back down, retest the twos, and then go. And really, I mean, if this thing was to get very, very volatile, I know everyone kind of draws up this chart, the dip before the rip, right? But there is the opportunity to see this thing become very volatile as soon as you get above 10 freaking bucks, guys. We've covered it time and time again, but getting into this liquidity zone is very, very dangerous, because as soon as you get above this freaking horizontal resistance, right, wherever you want to draw it, that is where the stock becomes very illiquid, and you see how the moves occur, right? That is our bull case thesis on AMC. I think it's possible. I just don't know when, right? You need some further clarity on not just this falling wedge, but also on this rising wedge and on the AMC earnings, guys. But on the shorter time frames, you're bouncing off of the RSI band, which is a beautiful look going into earnings, which gets me absolutely excited to see if you can get a positive earnings for the first time in what feels like forever. You can hopefully, right, see this momentum carry over into earnings with a positive close today above $2 and a positive close into Friday. You would have a morning star formation on the weekly time frame. That would get me the most amped to see a positive Monday morning, guys. But really, it is going to be hard to predict. Is going to be genuinely hard to predict here. Let's look at some other time frames on AMC. I know we talked about the daily time frame. Your overall volume trend is down. Overall volume trend is down. I expect that to break during earnings. 4-hour chart. You kind of see the 4-hour chart showing that the bearish volume is ramping up here. Now, you want to see this close as a bullish candle close, especially on the daily time frame. You have the opportunity to either get a green doji here, right? Again, which would coincide with our thesis that this is just bullish consolidation. But even if you don't, guys, and you finish with less volume than the previous day, I do believe that this is going to hopefully, right, fingers crossed, find a bottom within this consolidation phase and find a little ripper to the upside. Let's kind of look at the 30-minute time frame. I just want to get some technical confluence here. I want to see what kind of channel we are working with here. A little bit of a falling broadening wedge here on the 30-minute, guys. So there is the opportunity to swing up here to 205, reject, come all the way down to 182, which would make a lot of sense in my opinion, right? We talked about that being a potential target in the beginning of the video. So let's say you come down to 182. Say that's your bottom. You take the full width of this falling broadening wedge. That is your profit target. Oh, God. Don't do this to me, Amy. Not on earnings. 222 is our very distinct target that we need to break above. We absolutely need to break above 222, guys. It could not look more undecisive going into earnings. I freaking love and hate this thing at the same time, I swear. Okay, on the 30-minute, you have a little bit of bullish divergence here, which is looking nice, right? Higher low, equal low. So that's some promising stuff there. Hopefully you can see this kind of ride this trend line, this newfound trend line on the 30-minute until, right, you break out of this falling broadening wedge. That's a possibility. Whether or not it happens, right, we will have to wait and see. Let's cover IWM, guys, and then we'll get into GME. Don't click off the video for all the AMC people because this does pertain to you as well. IWM seeing a little bit a peaky weeky outside of this falling wedge or triangular formation, whatever you want to call it. Let's get back in IWM. A little peaky weeky outside of this falling wedge, and seeing a great daily candle. Even though you're slightly down, you were down big in the pre-market. Let's look at the 4-hour candle, and this does outline the kind of volume that's coming in off of this supportive trend line. Hopefully, right, you can see this thing continue to ramp up in volume here. As you can see, it's kind of stair-stepping, large bullish, small bearish, large bullish, small bearish, large bullish. You need to see this break, because if you see this break, traders, it's very, very possible you see this full extension all the way up here to 308 to 310, and that is very bullish for AMC and GameStop, all the like, right? But it's possible you continue trading within this triangular formation until you hit, traders, this upwards trend line. This has done you very well every single time. You've seen 11% on the index, 7% on the index. This one is 8% on the index. And if you did it again, guys, you would potentially see another 6 to 8% on the index, depending on when you touch this top here. The trend is your friend until you see a break of that, guys. I would expect to see a bounce in the short-term future on IWM. So that's what we're looking like on the broader index, kind of bullish for AMC. So I hope that I am very, very hopeful that that would hold up, right? I'm just going to draw that up. We'll see if that actually plays out. That is a potential falling wedge on AMC. If you see during earnings, maybe a flush down here to 155, catch everyone off guard. That would be a potential bullish reversal schematic in which you fail to hold this uptrend. Of course, that would suck, but failing to hold it, catch everyone off guard, scoop up shares at 155, and then launch this thing much, much higher. Not taking it off the freaking table. So we're just going to leave that there and see how it plays out. Kind of interested here. AMC touching 199, needs to get it back above $2 to see the freaking stock holler, baby. $2 make them holler. So we're gonna leave that, see how that plays out. GME also seeing a rejection off of this uptrend, but guys, if you haven't watched that freaking interview, I may link it below. I'll link the thumbnail, and I'll link a timestamp for GameStop holders. I'm absolutely jacked on what this man's about to do. Ryan Cohen, even though you've seen a rejection off of this uptrend, it is very, very possible here that you come down here to $21 or $21.50, right? And that's okay, because this stock, I have never had more belief in GameStop than after I watched that interview. This man is an absolute gangster, man. Like, just absolute gangster. He said verbatim, I don't want to quote him, but he said, eBay, we're going to do what we have to do to get eBay, right? And I think that is encouraging as a GME shareholder, and encouraging when you look at the indecision in this stock, right? Regardless of what you've done the last couple of years, I think that the end is coming soon, right? So whether or not you come all the way down here to 21 bucks, 20.50, I think that you're going to see some kind of outcome. Now, what I did find interesting is he also mentioned the GME warrants. Now, we've talked pretty religiously, just from a man only in paradise, about the GME warrants, but he pretty much just said in that interview that they expire in October, and he's not going to promise anything. But anyone who has invested alongside him along the way has been highly, highly successful, and I think that there's some validity to that, right? So looking at the stock price, right? The technical analysis on the stock is the volume continues to see this downtrend go on and on and on. You have not had a bullish volume candlestick close in what feels like forever, right? Upwards of May since the announcement. Now, from that rejection, traders, it's likely you see a daily cross down on the MACD. And it's also likely, like we said, that you revisit these lows. Now, although that sucks, guys, you rejected perfectly this neckline like we had talked about. So the warning signs were there, right? The weakness of volume coming into this move, the rejection, and then now the big move down. You're currently printing a red doji on the stock, and you've lost not just the RSI band, but also the 50 line. That is why you saw such a big move last week after the rejection off that RSI band, a move down to 5%, a bullish, not bullish, but bearish engulfing almost, right? Closing at the lows there, you've now printed an inverted bullish hammer candlestick. If you close this where you are today, good job, right? You've done one step in the right direction of seeing a reversal here. If you fail to hold this, what was the open? 2175. If you fall beneath 2175, guys, this candle becomes either a gravestone doji or potential shooting star candle, and that pretty much validates that you would go lower here, potentially all the way down to 21 schmeckles or 2050 or 2060 on the stock, hitting one of these uptrends or downtrends. Now, something that I'm watching on the shorter time frames here is, what is it? Oh, I remember. Okay, so let's just get rid of this candlestick formation because you almost have like a new channel being formed here. Oops, sorry. You almost have like a new channel being formed here. So I'm going to clear some lines. You have a lower high and then a lower low. That is indicative of a falling wedge here. So that would kind of make me believe that AMC and GameStop are trading very similarly, and that you have the opportunity to seeing a little bit of a falling wedge setup here. Maybe 21, 23, potentially 21 bucks, right? Depending on how far you go in this, and if this is even the valid thesis or valid positioning here. It would make sense after that move higher to see some kind of bullish consolidation before another move higher. So if that is a potential setup here on GameStop, also, like I said, just going to leave that here. And it doesn't have to play out, but we are watching it on the stock. All right, let's get into the Jimmy warrants, guys. Jimmy warrants. Woo! Seeing a little bit of a rebound here on the daily time frame, up 2.56%. I'm assuming off of what Ryan Cohen was speaking about, right, on that interview, and seeing just like GameStop on the weekly, but on the daily time frame, which is interesting, an inverted bullish hammer candlestick. So this would be your first step to potentially forming a bottom here, and doing so off of nice volume. You're seeing higher volume than the last 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe trading days, depending on how you close today, and 2 wicks off the bottom. I like that. I think you may have found your low at 190, but this is all dependent on what happens with not just the Jimmy share price, right? Because if Jimmy continues to go down, this stock is likely to continue to slide here. And then also, if you can get this daily MACD cross, that would give you some bounce here into about 230, guys. Rejecting 230 leads, in my opinion, to ultimate capitulation. So just be careful here, right? There's a very easy opportunity for a short thesis if you reject this previous falling broadening wedge to puke even further. So that's where I'm saying do your own due diligence, guys. Do your own and remember, as always, guys, I am not a financial advisor, but I genuinely just want you guys to succeed. I have been here since 8 months ago. I'm covering AMC, GameStop, NEO, IWM, right? All of these risk on assets, because I do truthfully believe that you're going to see a risk on asset, and the best is yet to come, guys. As always, God bless you and your families. And remember, traders, I love each and every single one of you. Until next time, guys, subscribe and peace. Woo!